Alrighty, hello there, my name is James, and right now we're going to be learning about the powers of the imaginary unit. Alright? How will we even go about this? This question is asking us which of the following is equivalent to the complex number I to the 13th. Let's go ahead and circle this so we can highlight it so we can come back to it later. Before we can understand I to the 13th, we have to understand this 4 pattern sequence. Okay, it's a sequence of 4 terms, okay? And it's pretty easy to memorize. I have it right here. This is going to be our first term, second, third, and fourth, okay? Let's start with I to the 0th power. Okay, I to the 0th, which equals 1, okay? I to the first power equals I. Now, you may not understand this just yet, but don't worry, I'll go over it soon. I to the second power equals -1. And last but not least, I to the third power equals -I. Okay, and this is our 4-number sequence, okay? Just 4 numbers. Well, and some imaginary numbers, okay? Now, what happens if we go up one more? Let's do I to the 4th power. What is it going to be? It's going to equal 1. Just like what we have here. Let me fix this one. See, it just repeats, which is pretty helpful at times, okay? So that means that I to the 13th is really easy to find, okay? All we need is a calculator, which is a great idea. Let me grab my calculator. So go ahead, pause the video and see if you can find a way to easily and efficiently find I to the 13th, knowing the information we have on the right. Okay, I'm assuming you had a go at it. Let's do 13 divided by 4, okay? We're doing I to the 13th, so let's do 13 divided by 4. Whatever exponent you have, we're going to divide by 4. So we're going to do 13 divided by 4, and I'm going to plug that into my handy dandy calculator, and we get 3.25. Okay? Now, what does this even mean? How is this even going to help us find our answer? Well, 1, so see, I have 1i, -1, -I. These all correspond to decimal places, okay? Now, it technically doesn't, but bear with me here. So I to the 0th power is a 0.0. I to the first power is 0.25. I to the second power is a 0.5. And I to the third is a 0.75. Okay? So whatever numbers before the decimal place doesn't matter, okay? So we can even cross this out, doesn't matter. We're just looking at the numbers after the decimal place, which is 0.25, okay? And if you look at our little chart over here, 0.25, I'm going to draw a line, equals I, okay? So that means I to the 13th equals I, okay? So this is our answer. Let's do a little check mark. So I to the 13th, what is it equivalent to? It's equivalent to I, okay? Pretty easy. Let's go ahead and do another problem so we can really solidify our understanding. Alrighty. This problem asks, which of the following is equivalent to the complex number I to the 16th? So just like problem number 1, we're going to circle it. And let's divide the exponent by 4. Okay? So in that case, we have 16 over 4. And that equals 4. 0.00. Now, as you may recall, our first term is going to be a 0.0, and all you do, you add 0.25 to each one as you go higher, okay? Now, every time you divide by 4, if you divide any number by 4, you're always going to get one of these possibilities. A 0.0, 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75, okay? Those are the only 4 possibilities. If you don't get these 4 possibilities, it means you did not divide by 0, okay? So, in that case, we can forget about the number before the decimal place, doesn't matter, and we have a 0.0. which means 0.0 is equivalent to 1. So I to the 16th equals 1. That is our answer. Now, before the problem even starts, you should always write down 1, I, negative 1, negative I. You should always write that down. And, why not write down the equivalent corresponding decimal place with it, okay? So that way you never forget and you know it's always going to be ordered, okay? Let's do it like this. Not very clean, but you get the point. 1 is 0.0, I is 0.25, negative 1, 0.50, and so on. Negative I is 0.75. Okay, so it's pretty much just connecting the dots, okay? You look over here, divide by 4, what do you get? Okay? And connect the dots. You just do what you gotta do, okay? Just make sure the order is sorted correctly. Make sure it's 1, then I, then negative 1, and then negative I. And you just line up the numbers right too. Make sure these are to the corresponding correct numbers. And I guarantee you will always get the right answer, okay? So for this problem, I to the 16th equals 1, okay? Let's go ahead and do problem number 3. Alrighty, we got I to the 7th. You can read all of this. Which of the following is equivalent to the complex number I to the 7th? Let's circle it. I to the 7th, great. Let's divide by 4. So 7 divided by 4. Because there's only 4 possibilities. And that's 1.75. Okay, we don't even have to focus on this number here. Let's just get the decimal place, okay? That's a 0.75. The pattern goes 1, I, negative 1, negative I. So this is correct. We have the correct order. And let's just write down the corresponding decimal place for each number on the left. Okay, great. So we got a 0.75. Which means it's this one right down here, which means the answer is negative I, okay? So let's rewrite it. I to the 7th equals negative I. Pretty sweet, amazing. So that is our answer. Let's do 2 more problems just to really solidify our knowledge. Alrighty, we got I to the 10th power. Pretty good, and it's asking us to simplify it, okay? So what is 10 divided by 4? Let me see if I can get it first try. It's 2.5. Am I right? I'm pretty sure I'm right, but okay, yeah, it is 2.5. Let's cross it out because I don't like looking at that stuff. So, and we have a 0.50. Let's line up each number on the left with the corresponding decimal. So 1 is a 0.0, I is a 0.25, negative 1 is a 0.50, and negative I is a 0.75. Alright, let's grab it and point the right direction, which is right here. Pretty nice. Which means our answer is negative 1. Okay? So in this case, I to the 10th equals negative 1. Okay? Pretty neat indeed, okay? Awesome. So let's go do one more problem and we'll be done. Alrighty, here is problem number 5, the last one, okay? So let's go ahead, divide by 4. I'm sure you're already getting the hang of it. Which of the following is equivalent to the complex number I to the 5th? I is an imaginary number, so only 4 possible solutions. 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. Cross out whatever number you have before the decimal place. And let's label each term with a corresponding decimal. So this is a 0.0. This is a 0.25. Negative 1 is a 0.50. And negative I is a 0.75. Okay, great. Now, when we divided by 4, we got a 0.25. Let's draw an arrow and see which one it leads to. So this one leads to I, which means I to the 5th power is equivalent to I. Okay? Pretty simple. And that is how you find the powers of the imaginary unit. That's how you solve it, and that's how you get a good grade in your class. Okay? Awesome. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.